Welcome to The Guide at Fish North Georgia. Brought to you by these fine sponsors. SPRO, working with America's best anglers to design the world's finest fishing tackle. Nichols Lures, handcrafted to perfection. Georgia Blade, makers of premium fishing lures for over 3 decades and home to the Georgia Jig. Crypto Bass, tournament grade, Georgia made. And be sure to visit fishnorthgeorgia.com. Now here's Josh Little.
Hey guys, Joshua Little here with Fish North Georgia, the guide, and I wanted to go over the lower section of the Etowah River just below the Allatoona Dam right here in Cartersville. And if you guys float that area a lot, or if you thought about going out to float it, but you wanted to take a rod and reel with you, I wanted to kind of share with you something that I throw whenever I'm out there. One of the biggest things that I'm generally going to take with me is some form of top water, and for me, I like throwing a whopper flopper. I throw this on a medium heavy, and this is the St. Croix Avid X. I'm using the SLX DC reel just because it allows me to really cast it out there a long ways. Not saying you have to use either one of those. That's just my setup. Any medium heavy, even if you're using a spinning reel, use a medium heavy. If I'm throwing a whopper, I'll generally use 30-pound braid for top water. I know a lot of guys are going to use something different. That's just my preference. The size of the whopper flopper that I use is going to be a 110. I feel that with the water current, the 90 series is just too small. It doesn't give enough thumb to it whenever you're reeling it through the water. I do use a 75 series as well, and then I also use the Berkeley Chapos, a cheaper version of the whopper flopper. I think they run about $8 or $9, a lot cheaper than the whopper flopper, and they do just as good. I know a lot of guys like to use either a spook or a pop arm for top water as well. I just prefer throwing the whopper because I cover a lot of water, and it just allows me to cover a lot more water with the whopper flopper versus with the Sammy. I'm looking for certain areas, somewhere where I feel that there should be fish. And the other item that I'll actually take with me and that I'll throw is either a Texas rig worm or a Texas rig crawl. Anything that's going to imitate, even a lizard. I mean, something that's going to imitate what you're going to naturally see in the river is going to be a good source for catching largemouth or spotted bass or even red eye. And one of the others is actually that I'll throw as a shaky head. And this is a fish head, 1/8 ounce green pumpkin shaky head. And the worm that I'm actually using is it's kind of mixed up, but this is one of the softy lure, and this is the, I believe it's the meat getter. This is a 5-inch, and as you can see, you've got that little bitty spiral spring right there. And what you'll do is you'll take your worm, you will push it up on there and twist at the same time. And what that does is that just allows you to put the worm on there and hold it in place. And I prefer the one that does have the keeper. I know some people, they'll throw it on just about anything. That's just kind of my preference. I want something that allows the bait to stay on there a little bit better. And then you will see right here where you'll actually want to place your hook. And what that does is that gives you an idea on the backside where you want to run that through to keep it straight on the bait. So at this point, I'll take it here, run it in, and just straight up. And what I like to do is actually feel to see if you can just barely feel the hook on the outside of it. And what you have is pretty much a perfect set on the hook. So when you toss this in there, you're bouncing it, you're going to be just dragging it through the water. What I like to do is throw it up in a current break and allowing the current to actually carry it through the water. I feel that gets me a lot more bites, because at that point, what they're seeing is they're seeing this bait come through the water at the speed that the water current is moving it. If it's moving a lot faster, I'll go up 1/4 ounce, just depending on how fast the water is actually moving. But for the most part, I'm going to throw an 1/8 ounce, just preference for me. And the water current carries it nicely. You can actually feel it bouncing off the rocks. And then if a fish picks it up, you can actually feel the fish pick up and take off with it, because you're going to feel the rocks, and then all of a sudden you're going to feel either tension or it moving, or your rod's actually going to load up. And you can actually feel those a lot better. And what I'll throw that on is I generally throw mine on either a medium or a medium heavy, depending on what rod and reel combo I've got there with me. But if I'm throwing it on my medium, it's generally going to be that 25-pound braid with an 8-pound leader. That's going to be my go-to if I'm throwing a shaky head in the river, is that setup. I personally don't think that you're going to have any luck with braided line. This is one that I've actually looked at and fished and was able to verify for myself. Fishing the same spinning reel, same 25-pound braid, working the shaky head, no bites whatsoever. Stayed in the area, put on a leader, and as soon as I changed the leader, it went from no bites to catching fish. And it was as simple as changing the leader. Now, something that a lot of people don't understand is that the water clarity below the dam, for the most part, is a lot clearer than the north side above Alatoona. So as soon as you get down there, that's one reason that I recommend using some type of leader, whether it be the fluorocarbon or either a monofilament leader. That'll change up your bites tremendously. Of course, water temp is going to be a lot colder than your main lakes. Most of your main lakes right now, we're actually in the last week of July. This was last week. So water temps on Main Lake is generally 87, 88 degrees, but I would say it's got to be in the 60s, maybe 70s in the river. I mean, it's completely different. It's nice to get out there. If you get hot, get in the water. It's a lot cooler. But like I said, this is the fish head spin, and this is their shaky head. That right there is kind of my go-to for the river besides the top water. I throw an underspin a lot. The underspin that I throw, of course, is the fish head actually has a finesse series, and the finesse series that they actually offer, I'll show it to you real quick. This is their finesse series. This is the Arkansas Shiner, and as you can see, that hook is a lot smaller. This is their standard fish head. To give you a little profile difference between the two, this is the exact same color. This is just what your hook differences look like. So I'll throw that finesse series right there on the river with a little 2.8-inch Kitex, and it does great, whether it be white bass, as far as like your just they'll sit up there and they'll school up and they'll just hammer this thing constantly. Spotted bass, largemouth, even your red eye. So if you guys are headed out to the river, pick up some shaky heads or Texas rig. Texas rig does great with a crawl on it, some form of fashion on top water, and you should have some pretty good luck. So thank you guys for checking out Fish North Georgia. We'll catch you next time.
Thanks for watching the guide here at Fish North Georgia. Our mission is to build a community of anglers to give you the best and latest information to make your day on the water more successful. Make sure you subscribe to our channel, click the bell so you'll be notified of any future content. Make sure you check us out at fishnorthgeorgia.com, where we carry a large variety of bait manufacturers from here in the North Georgia area. So we appreciate you being part of our community, and we'll see you soon.